I reached out to TaylorMade to see if they would send me an exact replica of Scottie Scheffler's putter, and they did it. So as you probably know, the world's #1 player, Scottie Scheffler, had a fantastic 2023, but his putting was absolutely abysmal. So starting at the end of the season, he started tinkering around with different putters, going into a new TaylorMade Spider that had a really interesting milled face. Then he went into some Olsen design putters, some blade putters. Then a couple days before the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill in 2024, Scottie Scheffler put in a Spider Tour X putter exactly like this one, and he ended up dominating the field and winning. And then the next week at the Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass, he won again. He very nearly won his 3rd start in a row after making this putter change, but ended up being a runner-up. At that point, I reached out and emailed TaylorMade asking for a Spider Tour X putter that is exactly like Scottie Scheffler's putter. A few days later, I had a conversation with Andrew Oldknow at TaylorMade. He's the person who's in charge of TaylorMade's putter division. And I asked him, what are the differences between this putter and the putter that you would find at retail? I also asked him from his perspective why Scottie Scheffler went into the Spider Tour X putter and what benefits he was going to get from using this putter as opposed to some of the putters he'd used in the past. The most interesting thing that Andrew talked about with me, and what he mentioned first, was the fact that Scottie was having trouble aligning his blade putters, and that by going to a Spider Tour X putter like this, it allowed him to get into a bigger, easier to use alignment system. For obvious reasons, blade style putters simply don't have the real estate to give you a very large, very easy to use alignment system. Lots of times they're gonna have a single line, maybe a couple lines, maybe a few dots. According to TaylorMade, Scottie Scheffler was having trouble aligning those putters and getting his putts started on the line that he really intended. By going to the TaylorMade Spider Tour X, he was able to get into a much longer alignment system. It was easier for him to aim the putter face. TaylorMade refers to this white alignment feature on the top with the single alignment line as True Path. And so for Scheffler, it was just simply a lot easier to set the face up on his intended target line, to get his putts rolling where he wanted to roll them using this True Path alignment system rather than either the lines or dots or other putter aiming mechanisms that he had on blades. Now, that being said, TaylorMade worked really hard to make sure that this thing was going to swing and feel exactly like the blade style putters that Scheffler has used in the past. And to do that, they put on this L-neck hosel system. Now, this is not a hosel that is currently available at retail. However, if Scheffler keeps winning, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we see this addition to the lineup at some point in 2024. Now, what makes this hosel unique and a little bit different from the standard hosels that are going to be available on Spider Tour X is that this is going to create a little bit of toe hang. You see, if I balance this putter out here on my hands, you can see that the toe portion of this putter actually drops down. It droops just a little bit below where the heel section is. That means that the balance of this putter, the weighting, if you will, of this putter is going to naturally open up on the backswing. And that is something that a person who typically plays with a blade style putter likes. People have different types of putting strokes. Some people try and go straight back and straight through. Some people have a slight arc to their putting stroke, bringing it to the inside, squaring it at the moment of impact, and then letting it sort of release through. Some people have a pretty pronounced amount of arc on their putting stroke. So once again, this is Scheffler's putter with that L-neck hosel. This is going to be a retail version of the Spider Tour X putter, and you can see the hosel is very, very different. And if I balance this putter, you're going to notice that the face points almost directly straight up to the sky. This is what is referred to as faced balance. So this putter, while the head is identical to the Scottie Scheffler model, they are going to balance differently, and they are going to be optimized for a different type of putting stroke. This face balance putter being much more ideally suited to somebody who makes a relatively straight back, straight through putting stroke. This is in fact the same insert that's found in the retail version of the Spider Tour putters. This is 80% Surlyn. TaylorMade, according to Andrew, has tested out 100% Surlyn pure roll inserts, but they end up being too soft, too mushy. They don't give the feedback the players like. So there is actually an aluminum powder that's mixed in with the Surlyn that gives it a little bit better sound, a little bit more click sound. But just like the other pure roll inserts that are out there, the one that's in Scheffler's putter has grooves that are in it that point on a 45-degree angle downward. And what those grooves are designed to do is grab onto the back of the golf ball and, utilizing the loft, get it out of the depression that the golf ball's weight makes on the green, but then get it rolling faster than it would otherwise. Quicker you get the ball rolling rather than skidding or bouncing on the green, the more consistent the performance you're going to get. The retail has a Super Stroke Pistol 1.0 grip that comes as standard with obviously the Spider graphics on it. This is a Golf Pride pro-only grip that's on right here, and it is a little bit more of a cord style feel. It does have a pistol style shape. For a player who uses an arch putting stroke, generally speaking, going with a slightly smaller grip can feel a little bit more natural. For players who are trying to create that straight back, straight through stroke, going with slightly larger putter grips can sometimes be beneficial. But at the end of the day, the question that I want to know, and I'm sure you want to know as well, is how does this thing feel? Does it feel like a retail putter when I strike it? How does it perform on the greens? So let's go find out. Okay, so now that I have rolled a few putts with Scottie Scheffler's Spider Tour X compared to a standard Spider Tour X, I gotta tell you, they feel pretty much identical. Now that makes sense because there's going to be the same true roll insert in both of these putters. So when the ball comes off of the face, it should sound and feel identical. And to me, they absolutely did. Do you notice a difference in the putting stroke when you have a putter that has an L hosel, which makes a slight arc to it? That being said, for me personally, I also create a slight arc with my putting stroke naturally. So an L hosel to me feels more natural than going with this single bend hosel. When it comes down to length and grips and such, that stuff is going to be very subjective. Some people like a smaller grip, some people like a larger grip. And it goes without saying that Scheffler had this putter created to the length that he needs to set up in the address position where he wants to be. I do understand that this putter was lengthened just a little bit from where Scheffler had been before, adding about 1/4 of an inch so he can be a little bit more upright in the address position. That comes down really to working with a good custom fitter so that when you get into the ideal address position, you've got a putter that naturally is going to allow you to be there comfortably. So once again, to wrap it up, the magic for Scottie Scheffler in this Spider Tour X putter is going to be this true path alignment system. Combining that with a hosel configuration allows him to make his natural slight arc stroke. When those two things get put together, obviously he's been tremendously successful, putting much, much better than he did certainly in 2023.